Okay, so in this activity number 4, the sheet looks like this. What we're interested in is looking at different attempts on how to make a light bulb light with just using one wire, one bulb, and one battery. I'm first going to go back to our setup that we've had before. So we got the socket with the light bulb in it. I have my 2 batteries in here. Notice when we set these up, the batteries in here, the positive end has this knob that kind of comes out, and then the negative end is just the flat end. So when you set these up in any device, you have to have the negative end on one end. So if I have this negative here, this is positive here, and then over here, this has to be the negative. You have to have opposite ends connecting. So that is how that has to be set up. So if I set this up and I connect it to this and connect that to the other clip, we can see the bulb lights. Okay, so I want to kind of show you what it looks like making the bulb bigger, and I drew a picture here of what a bulb looks like. So here's what happens is as this is going, so these are my 2 support wires and my filament. As we hook this up to a socket, so let's say this is the base, and then remember we said there are the clips on there. Well, one of the clips, it looks like this. It's kind of a clip of a piece of metal. It looks like this, and it touches right here on the base. And then the other clip is attached here, and it goes to this. So this would be the base. So when you clip a wire onto this, it follows through all the metal conducting parts. It goes up this wire right here, up the support wire, hits the filament, comes back down, and hits the other support wire, and then it goes out by the threaded part. Okay? And then this would be touched over here by the other wire, and there's your continuous path. So in other words, it just depends on how the bulb is set in here. It will flow in one wire. In this case, it went up this wire, and then it came back down this wire as it went through the filament. So we can see in any circuit, to make the bulb light up, you need to have the tip connected with the conducting material and the threaded part connected with the conducting material. And anywhere on the threaded works because all of that threaded is made out of conducting material. So our activity is really this. I have taped down a battery over here because I only have one set of hands to do this. And so I want to look at how can I make this bulb light. I'm going to move this over here a little bit. So how would I have to set this up with just one battery, one wire, and one bulb to make it light? So here's my bulb. If I put it on here, and so I know the tip is conducting, they ask you to draw some attempts, successful and unsuccessful. If I touch this onto there, the bulb doesn't light. But notice if I go and I touch it onto here, the bulb does light. So this is telling us that in order to make it light, I have to have the 2 ends of the battery, the positive and the negative, have to be in the circuit. I'm going to change this bulb and set it this way. Rather than the tip, we know the threaded. If I touch the threaded, oh, that's not going to work. But if I go to this, why isn't it working? I'm getting a spark, but it isn't working for me right now. Well, I'm going to hold this with my hand. I'm going to have to tape this on here to see if I can get this to work. I'm going to tape that on there, and I'm going to set this bulb on here like this, and there, yes, it did work. The threaded, and I touched, so I'm going to flip that up, I touched the tip of it right here. This fell off. If I touch that, oh, there we can go, we can see that bulb is lighting. Okay, so they want you to draw pictures of this. So an example would be, if this is my battery, and you can just draw it like a battery, we know there's a little knob on the top of it. That is really, they call this the positive terminal, and this is the negative terminal. So if I draw my light bulb on here, let's see if I put my tip on here. There's my threaded section. Here's the bulb. That means I need to connect a wire from here to there. That was a successful light. The bulb lights up. Okay, that's one successful one. You should be able to draw another one. I did another one. If I did this, if I was doing this for my battery, which I did, and let's say if I put my light bulb on the same way, and if I connected a wire here, and let's say I connected a wire there, this did not light. Okay, so this was not lighting. Okay, so at the bottom here, we want to do a little conclusion about what do we need in order to make a circuit, a bulb light up. Or it could be any other kind of device, like it could be a fan. If we were to make a fan work, we could use that too. So I'm going to go back to this sheet, and you can write in the conclusion here, and you can draw some attempts of what did work and what did not work. So for conclusion, we can see the essential materials for a complete circuit. And our circuit is we're trying to light up a bulb. Okay, so we need a bulb. Or we need some kind of device that's going to show us it's working. And so that device could be a fan, it could be a horn. Okay, the second thing we need is a battery. And sometimes they call these a cell. So like this would be called one cell. So you have two batteries like this, two batteries, this would be two cells. Okay, so that's another name for a battery, is a cell. And then the third thing that we need is a continuous conducting pathway. Made from conductors. And most of our conductors are metals. So you can see like on these sockets, this is all metal here. We've talked about this before. These alligator clips, this is metal, and then the outside, the plastic, is a non-metal because we don't want the charge to go outside of that wire. Okay? So another thing that we need, the three parts have to be set up in this order. So these parts must be set up in this way. One is all connections must be metal to metal. So all connections are metal to metal. Two, the connections must include both the positive and the negative end of the battery. Remember, the positive part was this part up here where that knob is. So they must include the positive and negative ends of battery. The third thing, this should be connections. The connections must include the tip and the threaded section of the bulb. So that the filament lights. So just to go back up here again, when we did this and we looked at my drawing for the light bulb, we said that this clip over here was attached to the tip, and this clip over here is attached to the threaded section. So in this, both the tip and the threaded section are included in your circuit. Now, you guys are supposed to, for today, go back and do worksheet number 1, which looks like this. They're asking you some basic questions about a circuit, and they kind of use the same diagrams with the battery, with 3 batteries in here, or 3 cells with 3 different bulbs, and they're just asking you, are those hooked up correctly? And then on the next part, they kind of gave you a word bank, and then they ask you to fill out if it's a closed loop, what words should go in there, and then if it's an open loop, what words would you put in there? And then the last one is just draw the continuous conducting path, and you could draw that with another colored pencil to show me it has to go through the filament, and it has to go touching through the threaded part and the tip of the bulb in order for it to light. It doesn't have a battery showing up there that it's hooked up to that, but it just shows you that, yes, it is hooked up to a battery. They just want you to go, these are the wires connecting to it. So you can do that worksheet tomorrow. You should be able to check that worksheet to make sure that you have it correct and continue on.